let's talk about JD John Don Vance, okay? A historically bad pick. Like, genuinely generational talent in just like sucking, okay? Sucking fucking couches, maybe dolphins, it seems, but also just absolutely being a pathetic figure that even people that know him best despise. Let's take a look.
He does worse in his home region at minus 16 points than he does in the average of all polls, which is a minus 5-point net favorability rating. So the people who know him best, the region that knows him best, they like him even less than America likes him. And of course, as you pointed out, again, in that kind intro, is he is historically unpopular for a VP nominee coming out of his first convention as the VP nominee.
All right, so let's specifically look at some former Republican presidential candidates. What do you see?
Yeah, you know, you mentioned Sarah Palin. How about Dan Quayle as well? These are two folks who I think most people remember as not being particularly popular. The amazing thing was coming out of their conventions, they actually were pretty popular. Quayle with a plus 15-point net favorability rating. Sarah Palin with a plus 26-point net favorability rating. Again, Vance at minus 5 points is just off the charts and falling off the chart in the wrong direction. Not up above the chart, but down below the chart.
I mean, that's like, once again, vindication for the Bergamaniacs. That's number one. Number two, Bergamaniacs, we could have had it all. Okay, we could have had it all. But number two, this is what happens when you listen to Donald Trump Jr. on who should be your vice presidential candidate. And last but not least, this is what happens when you go for a guy who is a, so far, one-term senator in Ohio, a state that you already won by 8 points, who literally won his senatorial seat with a smaller margin than you did, as in he's less popular than you in this already red state. And there was another Republican, the governor of Ohio, on that very same ballot that JD Vance was on, that outperformed JD Vance by like 20 fucking points. That is insane. Mike DeWine, who is obviously like a little bit more moderate on a lot of issues that matter to Ohioans, and that happens. You got like, you'll have like sometimes a red governor in a red state that is not as red in his policies, that picks up a lot of votes for immune Democrats and stuff. But like Mike DeWine was outperforming Jedediah Vance by fucking 20 points, dude. That is insane that you did this. Like, it just makes no sense.
Are you a racist?
How could you not want this guy as your VP? This is what he ran on.
Are you a racist? Do you hate Mexicans? The media calls us racist for wanting to build Trump's wall. They censor us, but it doesn't change the truth. Joe Biden's open border is killing Ohioans, with more illegal drugs and more Democrat voters pouring into this country. This issue is personal. I nearly lost my mother to the poison coming across our border. No child should grow up an orphan. I'm JD Vance, and I approve this message because whatever they call us, we will put America.
I love this on so many fronts, because like he wasn't even orphaned. He's acting like his mother died. Like, no, she didn't die actually. And also, she didn't get the fentanyl from undocumented migrants. Undocumented migrants play no role whatsoever on the trafficking of fentanyl, according to the Department of Homeland Security numbers. 90% of the drugs apprehended over the border are coming in through regular points of entry, and 91% of those apprehensions are conducted on American citizens. That's right. Not like actual card-carrying American citizens, not undocumented migrants at all. JD Vance's mother also was a nurse who was stealing prescription opioids from her own patients. So she had nothing to do with undocumented migrants whatsoever. Anyway, now having said that, great campaign ad. I don't know how that guy underperformed the fucking Republican governor by 20 goddamn points. But also, as you guys know, it was partially because Donald Trump, the fucking dumbass, too comfortable thinking he's going to bully an old man who was already like deeply unpopular, listened to his dumbass son, Don Jr. Here is Don Jr. trying to defend the JD Vance situation.
Like, there's some of them are like, we don't even want white women. Like, it doesn't, like, we need to check like 3 or 4 boxes so you can end up in like, if you're like, you know, a trans communist, this, that, and the other, like, you too can be the CEO of a Fortune 500 company with no experience whatsoever. He's actually spent real time with them. Like, and he's sort of, I would say he's the blue collar billionaire. And 15 years ago when I said it, people used to.
Dude, just show this over and over again. Show this in Ohio and Trump will turn Ohio fucking blue, okay? Like, ain't nobody is looking at this and going, yeah, no, this is a winning ticket. Like, no Riz. When I say they're weird, this is what I mean, bro. They are fucking gross. They are so gross that it's getting to a point where even other equally gross voters are like, oh, God, I don't want to be associated with that.
Shit all over me. Like, what are you talking about? I'm like, you don't understand. And now they understand. What the borders are, wrote the article. It wasn't even like it was the same publication. It was the same journalist. I'm like, this you? Like, to literally save democracy, because it's literally at risk, JD. That's why I keep the notion that, you know, democracy is all things, but if the elite, meaning, you know, Barack Obama, the Clintons, a couple billionaire donors be like, okay, this isn't working. We're going to take everything we gave you. We didn't give you any other options. We threw, you know, RFK off the ticket. Yep. We basically tried to push anyone else from happening. So we gave you your only choice. You actually then chose that person, and now America is not there. Now they're pretending, no, she's a moderate. They did the same thing with Joe Biden. He's going to be so moderate. He's so moderate. Look, he's moderate. Yeah. The policies were not. I hate to say it, but like literally, no, like, but it's like me, a couple other people that we're friends with that are like, hey guys, here are the facts, but you're not going to get that. Honestly, you may not get that on.
Yeah, they're besties. They love each other. You could tell, bro. Look at them. They're having so much fun together. Not a care in the world. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
Like, seems like it should be illegal.
I'm reasonably fast. If you see me on Twitter, like I'll get out a meme tweet in seconds. Right.
No, I'll get out a meme tweet in seconds, dude. Sick. Yeah. No, that's what like a guy with an HVAC business is thinking about. Is like, I know I make jokes a lot, but like, dude, think about it. Think about like an average American Republican, okay? Like maybe a lot of you are probably living in blue states, so you see exactly this type of Republican because deep blue districts, Republicans are exactly like this, the Groyper Republicans. But just like try to imagine, I don't know, try to imagine like your friend's dad or some shit who maybe owns like a catering business, right? Like living in Oklahoma. Or a guy who owns a ranch or some shit living in Texas. Like, I don't think that guy looks at this and goes, yeah, this is a winning message. Oh, this guy tweets really fast. I love that. Okay. I love how fast he tweets. Glenn Youngkin, dude, he was right there. He was right there. Fuck it. Burgum was right there. Like, it's just so dumb.
I don't think I'm going through a checkout process 7,000 times or whatever the statistic, and it's over and over again. I mean, even if they're, you know, journeyman, very average at best at what they're doing, of course, they thought of themselves as the elites, and yet none of these guys are exactly. They all copy everyone. The Marines thing, I'll sit behind a desk for a year or two, you know, after I do all the other things because I want to get into politics. You did it first.
Yeah, dude, like just this coked out rant about fucking tweeting really fast. Sick, man. Yeah, these guys are that's the guy. That's the guy that Trump is listening to.
Democratic Party ousts
anyway,
President.
Here's John Donne talking to fucking Megyn Kelly about the childless cat lady's remark. I got to pee
Joe
again.
Biden and elevates Vice President Kamala Harris to the top of its ticket without a single vote having been cast for her in that role. In just a matter of hours, the media suddenly turning all of its focus seemingly to Senator JD Vance, Trump's running mate. Donald Trump's number 2 coming under intense criticism for comments he made 3 years ago about, quote, childless cat ladies, because this is what Americans who can't pay their mortgages care about. Senator Vance is here to respond to this controversy, but first we want to start by walking you through how it all began. Going back now to July 2021, Mr. Vance had just launched his campaign for senator in the great state of Ohio, and he gave a speech to a conservative organization called the Intercollegiate Studies Institute. This was a speech essentially about declining birth rates, and they're bad, by the way, in the United States. They're at a 17-year low, and they continue to go in the wrong direction, and what it means for the future of this country. Mr. Vance talked about how he wanted to see the Republican Party as a pro-family party. He discussed the importance of children and brought up the fact that many top Democratic leaders don't have any kids, questioning what kind of a message the party as a whole is sending to young Americans. Take a listen.
I want to take aim at the left, specifically the childless left, because I think the rejection of the American family is perhaps the most pernicious and most evil thing that the left has done in this country. Consider all of the next gen of the Democrat Party.
See, they're doing it again, by the way. It's like you're supposed to just say they don't respect family values and then let people make inferences off of that, which can mean anything. It can mean that they don't like gay people. It's like, oh, they want to trans the children. That's all you need to say. They don't care about family values. That is a message that resonates with normal Americans to a certain degree. When you dive into it and get real fucking nerdy with it, and you start talking about like, yeah, they don't care about family values, which when I say that, I mean like you need to strap up every woman that is capable of carrying a pregnancy to term to a baby incubation machine. All of a sudden, you're losing all those people who are like, whoa, 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 I just meant like family values. I thought we were talking about like fuck gay people, or I thought we were talking about, you know, making sure that America had strong traditional values. Like you literally give the fucking game away. It is the exact opposite of the Lee Atwater strategy, the famous Lee Atwater strategy of like, you know, post-civil rights movement, you can't say the N-word anymore. So you say welfare queens, right? Like they forgot that you need the dog whistle. And that's partially on Trump, because Trump literally took the dog whistles and just turned them into bullhorns. So these guys think they can get away with it, but their instinct is so nerdy that they have to turn this into like some kind of scientific racism, right? That's the problem. They forgot that you just say they don't care about family values, and then Democrats try to interrogate that, and then you go, why are you asking me these questions? I just mean family values. Like, you're supposed to stand on it and just like give a wink and a nod. You don't, yeah, McKinsley Moment is right. He's talking like a goddamn consultant. We need to eliminate redundancies type shit. Not nerdy, their instinct is liberal. Exactly.
The names are obvious. They're well-known people. Kamala Harris, Mayor Pete Buttigieg, who's now the Secretary of Transportation, Cory Booker, AOC. Think all these people. They're different. They come from different walks of life, different parts of the country. What is the one thing that unites every single one of them? Not a single one of them has any children. Look, a lot of people are unable to have kids for very complicated and important reasons. There are people, of course, for biological reasons, medical reasons, that can't have children. The target of these remarks is not them. It's important to point that out. It is one thing to recognize that there are people who don't have children. It's one thing to recognize that there are people who don't have children through no fault or choice of their own. But it's something else to build a political movement invested theoretically in the future of this country when not a single one of them actually has any physical commitment to the future of this country. Kids are the ultimate way that we find healthy people, at least I think, self-meaning in life. We should treat this as a crisis in this country. And we should send the signal to the culture that we are the pro-family party and we're going to back it up with real policy.
Oh, you know what's crazy? I don't know about Megyn Kelly, but you know who has foster children and no children, no biological children of her own? Laura Ingraham. Like, that's how close to the chest this shit is. Okay? There are so many Americans. There are so many Americans who are foster parents, so many Americans who are step parents, so many Americans who don't have biological children of their own. And this kind of argumentation just weirdly causes people like even Laura Ingraham to catch a stray. This is not Laura Ingraham. This is Megyn Kelly. Okay? Just letting you know. You know, don't mix up your blonde Republican commentators. Okay?
Now, because Mr. Vance named names in his speech, it caused some headlines at the time, mainly because Vice President Harris is not a mother of her own biological children, but she's a stepmother. At the same time, Secretary Buttigieg did not have any children, but about a month later, he adopted twin babies. So a few days after those remarks, back in 2021, Mr. Vance went on Tucker Carlson's show on Fox to address some of the blowback, and that's when he made the comments about the childless cat ladies. Watch.
We're effectively run in this country via the Democrats, via our corporate oligarchs, by a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices that they've made. And so they want to make the rest of the country miserable too. And it's just a basic fact. You look at Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, AOC, the entire future of the Democrats is controlled by people without children.
Well, the Harris team recirculated the comments this week, leading Democrats and the media, the same media, currently rewriting.
You know when I get mad at Radlibs for like leaning into the cartoonish depiction of like liberalism and the way that Republicans try to portray the entirety of the left as like hysterical, emotional, and you know, incredibly moralistic woke scolds. Like, there's no reason to fucking lean into that message and become that thing that people try to portray you as. This is the Republican version of that. Okay? Democrats, not usually, but at least like as a whole, broadly, try to portray Republicans as these like bloodless sociopathic weirdos who are trying to do Handmaid's Tale. Handmaid's Tale is basically like the most common meta, right? Whenever talking about the Republican Party, especially post Roe v. Wade. Or Handmaid's Tale, not Handmaiden. I don't know what the fuck it's called. I didn't watch it. Okay? Why would you literally voluntarily put yourself out there, okay, and be like, no, I do want to do Handmaid's Tale? It's a book, it's a book. It's a TV show. I didn't watch either. I didn't read it. Shut up. My point is, in popular culture, Democrats will always post those fucking images to be like, this is what the future Republicans want. It's ironic that JD Vance was like, no, that is the future that we want, and here's how we get there. Like, that's so stupid. What a stupid thing to do. What an objectively dumb thing to do. Why would you voluntarily posture from an objectively unpopular position that your opponent is constantly trying to portray you as?
Writing history to tell us Kamala Harris was never the border czar, to immediately pile on cue. On Tuesday, Hillary Clinton shared it on X and sarcastically wrote, "What a normal, relatable guy who certainly doesn't hate women having freedoms. Literally, your husband has been accused of repeated sexual assaults. So take a seat, madam." On Wednesday, actress Jennifer Aniston weighed in, writing, "I truly can't believe this is coming from a potential VP of the United States," and urged Senator Vance to think about his own daughter, hoping that she might never need IVF, which she accused Mr. Vance of being against, which, as we pointed out yesterday, is not true. And it did not end there. Watch.
How dare you? You never.
Wait, am I crazy, or didn't Megyn Kelly literally leave Fox because of sexual assault and like routine harassment? Am I crazy, or is that like one of the other? Wait, what? Yeah. The new film Bombshell, which has recently snagged 2 Golden Globe and 4 SAG Awards nominations, tells the true story of the sexual harassment scandal that took down Roger Ailes, the head of Fox News and a kingmaker in the Republican Party. Ailes was an imposing personality. 2016 sexual harassment lawsuit brought against Ailes by former journalist Gretchen Carlson kickstarted an internal investigation at the news network and eventually a wave of sexual harassment claims against Ailes. Megyn Kelly, at the time the rising star of the network, was among the women to report experiencing harassment at the hands of the network in total. In total, more than 20 women accused Ailes, and he was forced to resign from his position in July that year. He died later at 77, a year later. Why is that a no? She wasn't saying sexual assault is good or something? No, she's literally talking about, she's personally talking about defending the Republican Party on women's rights issues. What do you mean? You think that this like is not contextually important? Do you think that this is not like, do you think that this doesn't play a role? Like, you think that like, if you're running around defending the Republican Party specifically on the issue of like women's reproductive rights or any kind of women's rights issues, if you're trying to defend the Republican position, okay, telling a woman to shut the fuck up about JD Vance because of her husband, okay, like I hate Hillary Clinton too, but she literally told Hillary Clinton to shut up. Yeah, shut up and dribble because of her husband. And she's like, that's kind of a weird position to land on, considering that you literally left Fox News because you were, a victim to sexual harassment. Don't you think that that's important to bring up in this situation?
Never had a baby. Your wife.
It's weird to run cover for the ideology that has personally harmed you.
I've had a baby. You know who else didn't have kids? George Washington, the father of our nation. Like Kamala, he raised Martha's children.
Because they invalidate even the idea of women who use IVF to get pregnant, or women who don't have children, or women who are stepmoms. Like, none of those are valid women to them. Those women don't matter. They're trying to reinforce this message that the only valid version of America is the America where white women didn't leave the home.
My kids are older. Does that make me childless? I want to qualify.
He is falling into the line of Donald Trump, offending women, offending minorities.
So if you have stepkids, JD Vance is saying that you should not have as many rights as everybody else. Like, this is a person, him and the former president, they want to control women. Jesus did not have children, right?
Joining me now, GOP vice presidential candidate, JD Vance. JD, Senator, welcome back to the show. It's great to see you.
Good to see you, Megyn. Thank you.
So Jesus didn't have kids, therefore you are wrong. What were you trying to say?
I guess they're comparing Kamala Harris to Jesus. I don't know. That doesn't make a ton of sense to me, Megyn. But look, I know the media wants to attack me and wants me to back down on this, Megyn. But the simple point that I made is that having children, becoming a father, becoming a mother, I really do think it changes your perspective in a pretty profound way. This is something, of course, we've recognized for hundreds of years in this country, that human civilization has always recognized. But there's a deeper point here, Megan. It's not a criticism of people who don't have children. I explicitly said in my remarks, despite the fact the media has lied about this, that this is not about criticizing people who, for various reasons, didn't have kids. This is about criticizing the Democratic Party for becoming anti-family and anti-child. We have to ask ourselves, Megan, why do we have masking of toddlers years after the pandemic ended? Why do we have the Harris campaign coming out this very morning, Megan?
Yeah, no, this is good narrative, man. Yeah, no, let's talk about a policy issue that was at the forefront of the Republican agenda in fucking 2020, dude. Like, it's 2024, man. Like, what child is being forcibly masked? Like, being anti-masking in 2024 is a wild position. Demonstrating the best instincts, personally. I think demonstrating the best possible campaigning strategy here.
And saying that we should not have the child tax credit, which lowers tax rates for parents of young children. It's because they have become anti-family and anti-kid. And I'm proud to stand up for parents. And I hope that parents out there recognize that I'm a guy who wants to fight for you. I want to fight for your interests.
Yeah, no, that's definitely how you came across as. Also, wait, is he saying he's pro-child tax credits? Wait, what?
Has lied about this, that this is not about criticizing people who, for various reasons, didn't have kids. This is about criticizing the Democratic Party for becoming anti-family and anti-child. We have to ask ourselves, Megan, why do we have masking of toddlers years after the pandemic ended? Why do we have the Harris campaign coming out this very morning, Megan, and saying that we should not have the child tax credit, which
Wait, what? Wait, why is he saying that the Democratic Party is that even true? Wait, what? That's just a genuine lie, right? What the fuck? Yeah, Axios on Harris's agenda: $2 trillion for universal pre-K education, elderly care, and child care improvements. Wants to raise the corporate tax rate. Revival of child tax credit expansion, based on her efforts in the administration and the Senate. And the guy who's saying that right now has said two different things. One, I believe he voted against it. And two, not only did he fucking vote against it, if I'm not mistaken, I got to look it up. Hold on. The expansion of child tax credits. But also he has literally said things such as like universal pre-K is weird. Like that's just like universal pre-K is like a bad idea. And it's like yeah, here it is. Good news, child tax credit bill is headed to the Senate. While POTUS and I continue to fight for the full expanded child tax credit, this bill should be passed quickly. President Biden is ready to sign it into law. That was in February. Okay? Like, that would be very odd if she is against child tax credits when she's advocated for it. The Harris campaign came out against taxes for Americans with children. Remember this in November? Is this like the new meta? Is that the new meta? Is just like to lie about it or something and to be like, no, we like the child tax credits? Wait, that's sick. The new meta is just like making shit up? I mean, I'm with it because this means that they are on board with the child tax credit. I mean, it's not the new meta, it's the old meta, but like making stuff up like this, chat, this literally is like saying the Democratic Party just came out with further restrictions on abortion. Hello? This is literally like, this is not something you can lie about in this regard. You can't lie about this because it's just like there's so like the media will pick this up and immediately be like, this is the dumbest thing that they could have ever said. And it also makes them seem like they're on board with the expansion of child tax credits, which as far as a policy prescription goes, is a Democratic Party policy that the Republicans voted against. Yeah, just the easiest solution in this circumstance. It's an article framing poorly from Daily Caller. Harris campaign staffer appears to come out against child tax credit. This is what they're running on? A high-ranking Harris campaign staffer called giving people with children a tax break vile on social media. Wait, what? JD Vance's attacks on childless Americans is vile. He called for higher taxes on those without children. That's what they're trying to fucking frame this? That's it? That's what this is? Oh, they're fucking they're awesome. They're awesome. This is amazing. Hey guys, on life support, Senate Republicans are prepared to sink the child tax credit bill. A $78 billion package of tax breaks for families and businesses passed in the House with an overwhelming bipartisan vote. But key GOP senators demand big changes or else. And if I'm not mistaken, one of those senators was Vance. No? Wasn't JD Vance one of the people? Or maybe he was, he supports it per roll call. Okay, never mind. GOP vice presidential pick has diverse record on tax spending, according to roll call. Mass mandate, diversity initiatives, campus protests, tax bills. Okay, 3 tax bills, impose higher taxes on college university endowments, tax legislation. Vance also co-sponsored a bill introduced, would disqualify auto manufacturers. Co-sponsored a measure with White House that would eliminate the ability for shareholders to delay. Vance also supported traditional business-friendly Maggie Hassan, restore full upfront deductions and fine in investments and R&D. Where's the child tax credit?
Further ado, joining us now, Marine.
Vance among the growing group of Republicans who support expanding the child tax credit, which provides money to low and middle. Okay, I was wrong. He did not. He didn't do that poison pill shit. After Trump expanded the child tax credit, the passage of Tax Cuts and Jobs Act 2017, families are now eligible for up to $2,000. In 2021, he tweeted his support for a proposal that would give $12,000 tax credit to married parents who have children under the age of 13. Married parents. A lot of good ideas out there on how to directly help parents. Instead of giving them only one option, this is a good one he wrote. The Maggie Hassan part at the bottom of the article. Hassan's bill incorporated $79 billion tax package negotiated by Ron Wyden, House Ways and Means Chairman Jason Smith, who grew up in a poor family receiving government assistance, spoken positively about the elements of the Wyden-Smith bill, which includes an expansion of child tax credits for low-income households. The bill faces opposition from Senate Republican leaders who believe it would reduce incentives to work. Yeah. This is such a wild fucking way to swing. And it's such a dumb way because it's literally on the Republican Party that this didn't pass. So for him to turn around and be like, oh, it's the Democrats that don't actually want this is so funny. I don't think it'll work. Like, there's no way the media would let, especially because the blood is in the water and there's a feeding frenzy going on with respect to JD Vance's unimaginably unpopular positions and his underwater approval rating. I think that that there will be an immediate fucking backlash to this kind of thing. I don't think that they let this go. Underwater, like his position on fucking dolphins? Yes. I think it's only right the mainstream media start heavily reporting on the factual fucking of couches. Are these CTC being a reduction in taxes for those with children versus increasing taxes on those without children are two different things? He's only supported the latter. Yeah, I don't think that JD Vance wants an expansion of child tax credits. I think he wants to tax people without children more, which, by the way, here's his take on the matter. This is pretty funny, trying to play fast and loose with this, by the way, because it has even left people like Barstool's very own El Presidente to go, what the fuck are you saying?
Simple, and I'll go back to something I said earlier about we need to reward the things that we think are good and punish the things that we think are bad. So you talk about tax policy. Let's tax the things that are bad and not tax the things that are good. If you're making $100,000, $400,000 a year, and you've got 3 kids, you should pay a different, lower tax rate than if you're making the same amount of money and you don't have any kids. It's that simple.
I totally agree.
Go back to something I said earlier about you tax the things that are here.
This is fucking idiotic. You want me to pay more taxes to take care of other people's kids? We sure this dude is a Republican? Sounds like a moron. If you can't afford a big family, don't have a ton of kids. Now, obviously, this is a very reactionary way to look at what JD Vance is saying, but fuck it, I'll allow it. Americans are so goddamn brain broken in terms of like additional taxes. But like trying to do it, okay, guys, chill out. Trying to advocate JD Vance's attacks on childless Americans is even vile. He called for higher taxes on those without children. This is exactly like the child tax credit, JD Vance. Actually, you get less money if you're a single parent. Also, Vance opposed the American Rescue Plan, which expanded the child tax credit. Yeah. He voiced support for the Missouri Senator Josh Hawley's 2021 plan to expand the child tax credit, which included a marriage bonus and catered to 2-parent single-income households. Millions of working people want to start a family and would like to care for their children at home, but current policies do not respect these preferences, Hawley said when the bill was introduced. Also, I don't know if you guys know this, but childless Americans already pay higher taxes than Americans with children. You want to know why? Because you don't have fucking dependents. So what he's talking about is like literally trying to just simply fucking tax people without children even more than that, exclusively to, I guess, like in his mind, he thinks that this will create a structure where people literally people will get married more. Yeah. The child tax credit without any sort of additional qualifiers simply just cuts child poverty in America by half, which it did, by the way. Harris said at a political event in North Carolina last week, this was real. This was a real thing. It was ridiculous that it didn't fucking, they didn't expand on it or didn't continue it or couldn't continue on it, partially because of the Republican Party. Biden's fiscal year 2025 budget aimed to restore the 2021 child tax credit increase, and House lawmakers in January passed the bipartisan tax package, which included a child tax credit expansion. However, the bill's been stuck in Senate. The enhanced tax break is a huge priority for Democrats, said Garrett Watson, senior policy analyst and modeling manager at Tax Foundation. Do you think tax credits for children are bad? No. What? No. There's only one way to offer money to Americans, and that's by functionally cutting taxes or offering tax credits. It just sucks that that is the reality. But I never said that. I said the exact opposite. Oh, I thought this guy was going to try to do a 3-minute ad break debate by being like, well, you never said that there will be a 3-minute ad break at the top of the hour, but there is one unless you subscribe for $5 or for free. That would have been a better opportunity for you, sir, even though you didn't take that opportunity. You know? Here's the 3-minute ad break now, by the way, everybody. Now, if you want to break from that, you can use a Twitch Prime. It's kind of like a tax credit. Okay? As long as you have an Amazon Prime account that you haven't used on your favorite broadcaster. And you can use it here. Or you can get gifted a sub. It's kind of like socialism that way. Here's the 3-minute ad break now. What? Missing the biggest moment of your wife's career because you're busy queening out with WeHo gays, LaMafael. Emhoff also told the story about being caught by surprise. Oh my God. Oh my God. When he said he happened to be in Los Angeles with a gay couple, friends of his, after taking a 1-hour Soul Cycle class with them in West Hollywood. We're out there having coffee, messing around and talking. Messing around. Douglas Emhoff is gay. But that's neither here nor there, okay? So now it's like after the announcement has gone out, my friend's partner said, you need to look at this. And I said, what? What the friend was holding up was Biden's letter to the country announcing he was dropping out. Of course, I didn't have my phone, so I ran and got into our car. And of course, my phone is just on fire. And it's basically call Kamala from everyone. Emhoff said. And of course, the first thing she said was, where the were you? I need you. Where the fuck were you? I need you. Once again, Haas with the buy erasure. True. How aggressive is the sex Paulo, Pelosi, and Doug have? You mean David the Peepee? Why are we pretending like he didn't speak to Kamala to tell her he was dropping out beforehand? Hello? Have you seen Biden? I don't think he told Kamala Harris beforehand that he was dropping out. Like maybe moments before. Maybe literally moments before the tweet was dropped on the timeline. Brother, there was like 8 people in total in the country that knew he was dropping out. He told his staffers the night before that they're full steam ahead, Captain. Okay? New York Times reported he told Kamala that morning. Yeah, see? No, after the letter was released, he was pissed. Yeah. I thought I heard a PSA guy say Biden informed his staff 1 minute prior to posting the tweet. That's what they want you to think? No, I believe that. I 100% believe that. Half of his re-election campaign staff found out from the tweet, brother. You're crazy.
Rebecca Vice President Kamala Harris is racing to rally support across the country. With the election now just 100 days away, she is aggressively going after Donald Trump and hitting that campaign trail. Hi.
Hey there.
This morning, Vice President Kamala Harris getting a major endorsement and revving up her campaign.
We called to say Michelle and I couldn't be prouder.
Okay, we saw all this stuff.
Rallying one of the nation's largest teachers unions in Houston, Texas.
Bro, you can't be rallying one of the largest teachers unions in the nation and then simultaneously go with Josh Shapiro. That's all I'm going to say. Okay? You can't do both. You can't be pro teachers unions, which is phenomenally important, while simultaneously having your VP be a guy who is seeking to abolish teachers unions by pushing for a right-wing bill, a Republican-backed bill What? Oh, this makes sense. Donald walked out on the family when JD was a toddler. When JD was 6, his parents officially divorced after his father left the family a few years prior. He reflected in Hillbilly Elegy how his mother informed him of the divorce by telling him he'd never see his biological father again. It was the saddest I had ever felt, he wrote in his memoir. Of all the things I hated about my childhood, nothing compared to the revolving door of father figures. One of the funniest moments about this is that his dad's name is Donald. That's crazy. Oh my God. His entire worldview is okay. I'm not a firm believer on the idea that like he got panned by critics when the Netflix show came out and that's why he became a Republican. I don't believe that. Okay, that's when he became like a Trump guy. I don't believe that, but I do believe that this is the reason why he's constantly talking about like no fault divorce. Now we fucking know daddy issues is like motivating him to come out and look like an unhinged sociopath. Every time he talks about women having bodily autonomy as it pertains to both reproductive rights, but also as it pertains to divorce. Maybe life would be different. Maybe life would be different if the government forced his father not to leave. Because like, here's the thing, right? For him, like this is like his Israel. You know how like Biden, is just like weirdly so pro-Israel out of nowhere, and people constantly tell him like, dude, like dial it back. What the fuck are you doing? Like you're coming across really fucking unhinged on this issue. And he's just like, I'm a Zionist. And I've always been a Zionist. JD Vance's Israel is this. What Israel is to Biden, denying women bodily autonomy is to JD Vance. He just has this like unimaginable commitment, despite the fact that it plays really poorly with the broader electorate because of his own personal convictions. I love that. And no, I don't mean like Israel is Joe Biden's daddy, chat. Bro, go look up the name of Kamala's dad right now. Yeah, I know. It's Donald J. Harris. Or Donald J. Sterling Harris? No, Donald J. Harris. I don't know why I always say Donald Sterling. I know Kamala's dad is a Stanford professor, and he is a Marxist economist, as a matter of fact. I always got Donald Sterling in the mind. I don't know why.
We want to ban assault weapons
and they want to ban books. We choose freedom. The vice president dropping her first campaign ad featuring Beyonce's song Freedom.
Okay, get to the tax credits, man.
Quickly pitting Trump's words.
We saw this shit already.
If you're making 100.
Wait, oh, we watched this coverage already. Okay, never mind. It just like briefly touches on it in the coverage. I thought there was more. I thought there was a further. I thought there was like further coverage on it. Okay. Oh, Lindsey Graham, that's a really funny one. All right, let's continue with
Lowers
this.
tax rates for parents of young children. It's because they have become anti-family and anti-kid. And I'm proud to stand up for parents. And I hope that parents out there recognize that I'm a guy who wants to fight for you. I want to fight for your interests. I want to fight for your stake in the country. And that is what this is fundamentally about. The Democrats in the past 5-10 years, Megan, they have become anti-family. It's built into their policy. It's built into the way they talk about parents and children. And it's time that we called that out. I don't think we should back down from it, Megan. I think we should be honest about the problem.
Here's what's crazy. It's not just Senator JD Vance, Republican and running mate to Donald Trump, saying that.
That's awesome. He's doubling down on it. That's great, man. He's doubling. He's like, every time I say family values, understand that I think women should be cows that are bred. I need you guys to associate. What is like a commonplace Republican position with a policy position that you definitely think is weird and gross. Let's be honest, though. A good policy would be to offer tax incentives to people with kids. Just don't penalize people for not having kids. Wow. If only there was that exact same policy. Maybe like I'm thinking like a child tax credit. Like that, I feel like that would gut childhood poverty by half. If only there was a bipartisan tax bill that passed through the House of Representatives that was being held up in the Senate by the Republican Party that did just that. That's kind of what we've been talking about. Chatter, you might have came in late, but that is what the Democratic Party is actively running on. and JD Vance here is just being like, Kamala Harris doesn't want this thing that she keeps putting at the forefront of her campaign message for the past fucking 70 hours that she's been campaigning.
Just recently, there was a long piece, June 10th, 2024, in the New York Times, and another one in the New Yorker, highlighting a book that's called What Are Children For? On Ambivalence and Choice, in which the authors, leftists, liberals, got deep into this very problem and chastised their own side for the reluctance to have children and the messaging to young women about priorities. It's not just a Republican thing. The honest liberals will admit themselves that somehow the Democrats are running away from family as one of their previous old core values. I'll just give you a couple of excerpts from the New York Times piece by these two authors, Anastasia Berg and Rachel Wiseman. Again, this was a month ago. They write, for progressives, waiting to have children has become a kind of ethical imperative. They go on to say, the success narratives of modern liberal life leave little room for having a family. They say this is not just a recipe for unhappiness. It also reflects a deep confusion. And they go on to write as follows. The question of children ultimately transcends politics. In deciding whether to have them, we confront a philosophical challenge. Is life, however imperfect and however challenging, however fraught with political disagreement and disaster, worth living? So this is not, and I could go on. I mean, the New Yorker piece had the similar point. We've seen it from AOC. We've seen it from the hardcore environmentalists on the left in particular, urging people not to have children because they don't see a future for the country or the world.
Yeah, Megan, and I think it's profoundly weird and dangerous rhetoric. As you know, I think most parents would say professional achievements, whether you're a mom or a dad, all that stuff eventually fades away. The thing that you're most proud of is having kids, what your kids do, the relationship that you have with your family. That is what I think brings the most meaning to life is family, not all these weird little accomplishments and degrees and everything else, right? It's family that really brings the most meaning to our lives. And Megan, this comment that I made was actually motivated in part by a conversation I had with my wife, where she at the time had 2 babies. We hadn't yet had a third, and she was talking about how she felt this incredible professional pressure to not have kids because it set back her professional advancement. And what a weird society that we've set up, where moms who want to work, the thought that a lot of them are having is, I can't have more babies because it's going to be bad for my career. How about we make the workplace more accommodating to working moms and working dads so that we can promote a real culture of life? You started your monologue, Megan, talking about how we have the lowest birth rate and basically in our history in this country. What our young moms and dads are telling us is they don't feel comfortable in this society bringing new life into the world. That is a catastrophe.
Hi, I'm new here. Are a Democrat or Republican? You mean this guy? You think the way he's talking about this issue, you think like he might literally be a liberal, right? Except he has all of the worst liberal instincts in terms of like, one, recognizing the underlying problems, but then simultaneously approaching it with the most technocratic solution that is also weirdly right-wing. Okay? I think chatter means you. Oh, I'm neither.
Catastrophic problem. And it's interesting when I raise this issue about we don't have enough babies, a lot of liberals and a lot of people on the left will say, well, we can just replace American children with immigrants.
That's not what people are saying at all. It's because it's far too costly to have children. People just can't do it because surviving on a single income household, surviving as a single income household is almost impossible. Okay, that's number one. And number two, like the child tax credit that the Republican Party, his party, tried to ether, is literally addressing that to a certain degree. What's crazy about this is this is where Joe Biden and the Democratic Party should be talking about the hypocrisy. Okay? Like, this is a gift to the Democrats. Okay? This is a perfect gift wrapped. This is a gift to the Democratic Party. Just run this over and over again and be like, this dumbass keeps fucking saying that it's the liberals that want to stop child tax credits. We're running on child tax credits. We have a bill that the Democratic president wants to sign into law that expands child tax credits. We know it's unaffordable to be a parent in this country. We want to fix that fucking problem. And the Republican Party seemingly keeps saying, oh, this will disincentivize workers. This will disincentivize workers. That's what the Republicans in the Senate are saying. That's his caucus. Go take it up with them, dumbass. What do you mean? That's what's so crazy about this. And not only that, but also there's another thing that I want to find here. I don't know if you guys have the do you have the time when he called like universal pre-K to be like weird? That was a great moment for him as well. Or he was like, oh, that's what elitists want. Oh yeah, here. I found it. He said, he didn't even say it was weird. He said universal child care is an attack on the working poor. Universal child care is a massive subsidy to the lifestyle preferences of the affluent over the preferences of the middle and working class. using a chart from the National Marriage Project at the University of Virginia. Wilcox actually raised some interesting points about the effects of separation from parents at a young age on the kid's development. The data he cites from American Compass, a conservative think tank, shows that people without a 4-year degree would prefer a situation where one parent works full-time and one parent provides childcare in the home. That's fair and honestly unsurprising as far as the options available in the survey go. I can see how that one is more appealing to many people, especially people whose low-paying jobs, quite frankly, suck. Except the reality is that if they were to adopt child tax credit expansion and also add universal child care in general, okay, why the fuck would the working poor say no to that? It's just not an option for them in that fucking poll that he's using. But the first problem here is that Wilcox isn't just arguing against universal daycare. He's also arguing that Americans without a college degree would rather have direct cash assistance from the government or a wage subsidy that boosts their family's income. That's pretty much exactly what the child tax credit expansion in the American Rescue Plan does. Put cash in the pockets of parents directly every month. It's also an idea every Republican in Congress voted against as part of the full bill. President Joe Biden said in his joint address to Congress on Wednesday that he wants to make that expansion permanent. Vance would prefer a plan like the one from Senator Josh Hawley, offers smaller payments under more constrained conditions as far as policies go as a start, but wouldn't aid nearly as many families on a regular basis as Biden's proposed permanent expansion. So if that's off the table, then how about a wage increase for Americans without a college degree? They make up 78% of minimum wage workers, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And yet, nope, that's off the table too. Biden's proposal to raise the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour, which he touted again Wednesday night, is a non-starter for most Republicans. This is before the Democrats tanked that, by the way, by saying the Senate parliamentarian, when they tried to attach it to a different bill, the Senate parliamentarian declared it to be a non-starter. And they basically turned around and said, okay, oops, we can't do that. Which is why I was very angry at the Democratic Party at the time, because it was objectively stupid for the Democrats to leave this on the fucking table and not argue on partisan boundaries, but allow the Democratic Party itself to get cooked by bullshit Senate parliamentarian appointed positions. The Heritage Foundation also argued that raising the minimum wage to $15 would come with the corresponding spike in child care costs across the country. So they don't want to fix the problem, is what I mean. Tax credits, to some extent, social safety nets don't raise fertility rates. There are many examples from the EU. Brother, what are you talking about? Who gives a fucking shit about raising the fertility rates? What kind of nonsense is this? The American fertility rates are high specifically as a consequence of immigration. That's it. Yes, more developed nations have less children. Why are you fucking talking about the necessity to increase the fucking fertility rates? What? The irony of people talking about the increase or the necessity to raise fertility rates is that it almost always comes from motherfuckers who will never raise the fertility rate on their own because they're not getting pussy, okay? Worry about your own damn fertility rate, dog. You ain't getting no pussy with this kind of fucking incel attitude, okay? How about you worry about your own shit? It's always the chinless motherfuckers talking about the fertility rate and how it must be increased. It's like, bro, go to the fucking gym. Stop reading these fucking right-wing blogs and shit, okay? Stop participating in 4chan poll discourse, and then maybe you can fucking raise the fertility rate on your own. Do your goddamn part. What are we talking about, man? It's a U curve, by the way. The highest income earners have higher fertility rates than middle class. Yeah, like Elon. Or Nick Cannon. That chatter is wrong. Scandies have higher fertility rates because they get more benefits. I mean, Donald Trump said, I'm going to come. And Kamala said, do not come. Make up your own thoughts and their positions on the future of America. True. Okay, you got him. You got me there. I have no answer for this. You are right. Donald Trump said, I'm going to come. And Kamala Harris said, do not come. Anyway, ultimately, I don't think the average American is thinking about having children as like increasing the birth rates of white people, okay? Like, I don't think that they're predisposed with that sort of thing. I think they're thinking about it like, you know, they want to have kids. They just want to have kids. That's understandable desire. And it's just simply too unaffordable. Like, childcare is too costly. They don't have enough time, right? So any kind of improvement on that front will probably open up more venues for people to have kids. That's it. The notion that like people are like, oh no, I have to have children because we need to breed out these immigrants or whatever is not a real issue that like even the most racist white American is thinking about, unless they're like straight up in the Klan or something, okay? Like there's levels to this shit, which is what I try to explain to people all the time. There's levels to it, okay? Like no one is that ideologically committed to white supremacy that openly, unless they're like Elon Musk or a Klansman, okay? The average racist living in a red state is not thinking about it on those terms. It's very stupid to make it seem like the average racist American is thinking about it on those terms. Dude, what is going on with this today? I know this is like a meta. I guess it's a meta on Twitch or something. Everyone keeps going, who rated? Is this a new thing? What's happening? I'm too much of a boomer to understand what's happening here. It's a juicer. You missed the drama. What is it? It's trending on Twitter because someone found a clip of you getting mad at it once. Wait, it is? I'm getting baited? I don't even know. When you had 10K viewers, someone asked who rated and you banned him? That's it? That's what they're trying to make fucking drama out of? That's funny. All right, let's continue with JD Vance.
Well, look, there's nothing against immigrants.
Bro, these motherfuckers are flailing like the Republican Party, okay? They're flailing like the Republican Party. They're like, oh yeah, let's bring attention. Let's bring attention to something that is like objectively untrue, especially at this moment. You know what I mean? Come back in like a couple months if people are just no longer invested, or come back after the election. You know what I mean? Try again.
Obviously, I'm married to the daughter of immigrants, but if your society is not having enough children to replace itself, that is a profoundly dangerous and destabilizing thing. You look across history, that's a real problem. So I just think that we have to say, Megan, having kids is good. being a parent changes your perspective on the world. That is not a bad thing to stand up for parents. In fact, it's the best thing. If our politics isn't standing up for parents, then what the hell are we doing, Megan?
All right, I'm giving you the New Yorker. Again, this is, the first was from the New York Times. Here's the New Yorker, How Liberals Talk About Children by Jay Caspian Kang. This is from June. This is a month ago. And it ends with the following. He talks about how, this person, Jay, talks about how the messaging from leftists around children is all about their economic value, how much they're going to cost, what kind of a burden they're going to be, as opposed to the goodness they bring into the world and our lives.
Oh my God, they're so dumb. Oh my God, that's awesome. That's literally, yes, dude. That is a significant hurdle for average people. What is this like spiritual, holistic attitude, bro? That's the whole point. What do you mean? Wow, I can't believe leftists are talking about the material realities that basically make it impossible to have children if you want to have children, even if you want to have children. Wow. I can't believe that leftists are talking about the economy instead of how sick it would be to nut inside of your wife and just leave it at that.
Lives. And the piece ends as follows. We should talk about them as a universal and immutable good. So that's exactly what you did in those remarks, JD, and I understood it completely. And I think even the left, if they're honest, understand.
Motherfuckers are perma renters with like 8 roommates, okay? Trying to make ends meet and still barely making a bag. When the weekend comes around, maybe you're using like the little bit of disposable income you have to go out and like feel like a human being again. And these guys are out here being like, why don't you just raise your children on good vibes? How does that work? Does everyone have a Sirius XM contract? How the fuck are Americans gonna make that work? Like, this makes no damn sense. Hey, what's up? I'm gonna have a child and I'm gonna feed that child with good vibes and good vibes only, because it fills my heart with joy to have children. Which is precisely why you should have a child and then fucking become homeless and then figure it out afterwards. That's probably good.
Understands that piece of it. Do you think America...
Anyway, that's fire.
Now the Vice President Kamala Harris.
That's fire. But yeah, JD Vance also, I feel like I missed this part, but didn't JD Vance in that interview tell Megyn Kelly? I guess I like didn't hear that part. Megyn Kelly on childless cat ladies. Obviously, it was a sarcastic comment. I've got nothing against cats. People are focusing so much on the sarcasm and not on the substance. And the substance of what I said, Megyn, I'm sorry, it is true. Doubling down on this theory that childless women are ruining the country while also looking like a gutless flip-flopper by semi-apologizing and also driving more attention to the entire controversy by addressing it. You are watching a master at work, says Ed Ingermantum. Okay. There's more I want to mention on this front. Hold on. Where is it? There was another thing that I wanted to talk about, which was, I believe this like the JD Vance take on like taxing those who don't have children more, which they already do get taxed more because they don't have dependents, is so unimaginably stupid. Okay. So unimaginably stupid. Why? Because it's like 30% of the fucking eligible voter base that you are saying you want to tax more as a Republican. Like, that's why, obviously, motherfuckers like Dave Portnoy are gonna be like, what are you saying, dude? Like, as a Republican, you're saying 30% of the voter eligible public could suck shit and get taxed even more than they already do when they already get taxed higher as a consequence of not having dependents. What a stupid idea. How is this man not vetted at all? Anyway, this is also some interesting news. The results are significant coming out of Detroit News, a new poll. In January, the same pollster had Trump leading Biden by 8 points in Michigan, 47 to 39%. The new Michigan poll shows Trump at 41, Harris at 41, and Kennedy at 10. Entirely new race. Trump lost a decent amount. Harris gained a marginal amount, but still an amount nonetheless. And of course, RFK coming in hot with that 10%. Wall Street Journal poll has Harris up in the full field. Trump up 49 to 47 in a two-way, but Harris up 45 to 44 in the full field. Their last poll had Trump up 48 over 42. That's wild. How do I convince my mom not to vote for RFK Jr.? I mean, it's pretty simple. If you're voting for RFK Jr. over regular run-of-the-mill Democrat, insert whoever the Democratic ticket is, you probably are doing so because you just have like kind of kooky ideas about medication. And no, I don't mean just vaccines. I mean like in general medication, right? Medicine, modern medicine to be exact. Because like that's the major difference that RFK Jr. has from the regular run-of-the-mill Democrat. I mean, he's also like an objectively weird dude, but that's the most significant difference is that like he's a conspiracy guy with brainworms. Literally, I mean that literally. I don't mean that as a figurative term of speech. I mean literally he had brainworms and also is anti-modern medicine. So like everything beyond that, he is a regular run-of-the-mill Democrat, down to like the unconditional support for Israel. Like he just basically hits he basically gets the conspiracy crank vote while simultaneously being a Democrat, which is part of the reason why I think he takes away a lot more votes than Donald Trump than he does from the Democratic Party. So I don't know. I feel like it's going to be difficult to move your parents away from voting for RFK because like those are just the cranks. And when there is like a crank meter, when there's a crank magnet like RFK on a ticket as an independent, cranks love that shit. They think that they're making like a brave anti-establishment choice. Anyway, let's finish off this JD Vance thing with a couple different notes that I wanted to hit.
The fact is, he is historically unpopular, like even more so than VP nominees, who of course went on to infamy, at least in terms.
Well, I mean, right. So you look at what happened to those two, and they plunged. You know, some may say, well, maybe there's nowhere to go but up for Vance, but in margins, that's not true. It can get worse.
It can get definitely
just don't know which way it will go. All right. So when this comes to the broader country, you talked about how the area that knows him best right now in the favorability likes him least, but undecided voters. That's what this is about. There are more of them than a lot of people care to admit.
Yeah.
And prior to the seismic shift in the race, many of them may have gone for Trump.
Could have.
Now, who knows what they're going to do? How does Vance play there?
He doesn't play well with them at all. His favorable rating is just 5%. Just 5% hold a favorable rating. 29% hold an unfavorable rating. That makes a net favorability rating of minus 24 points. That's worse than his net favorability ratings overall. The fact is, if undecided voters are going to make up their mind based upon JD Vance, they're going to make it and make the choice for Kamala Harris.
5% favorable?
5% favorable.
Ever heard of anything like that?
I really haven't. There's still a lot of folks who are undetermined on him, but that 5% is not something I think is going to go on his wall of fame.
All right. Harry.